Good evening and salutations. I hope you're strapped in for an incredibly long video about the entirety of Dragon Ball Z and why it's deep. Now, a lot of people feel like Dragon Ball Z is this musclehead anime that has no semblance of small mechanisms that make it even deeper in the greater confines of the story, that it has no narrative through line and no focal points that make it immaculate or amazing. I am here to dispel all those rumors and theories because I have consumed a disgusting amount of Dragon Ball Z. Over 101 video games, over 12 movies, it has been an amazing journey of me watching every single piece of Dragon Ball media and fiction. And I will also be discussing Dragon Ball Z Abridged. More so, I will be talking about the narrative focal points of that and how that improved and enhanced the experience for a lot of people, and some people view that as the true Dragon Ball experience because it comes with the afterthought of Akira Toriyama actually having all the things, and it makes more cohesive sense. I would like to give my background as to why I'm making this video. When I was younger, a Spanish kid approached me and said, "Have you ever seen Dragon Ball Z?" At this moment, I had not been watching anime at all. I had purely only watched cartoons. I had watched the Cramp Twins, I had been seeing Cubics, I had watched Kirby, which is technically considered anime to a lot of people, and I had seen Yu-Gi-Oh! Up to about GX. At least the first 2 episodes were out at the time when I was consuming Dragon Ball in its totality. I started with the first episode of Dragon Ball Z. I saw the amazement of it, how Raditz stopped a bullet and destroyed the farmer with a shotgun. I didn't know who Piccolo was, no idea. I just thought it was really cool, and it started off on a very high note. I thought the hair was immaculate and interesting. I had no clue what was happening. I didn't really care about the narrative points. I just knew that they were fighting, and the animation looked cool enough for me to get into it. However, I didn't know what they were saying at all. I had no clue. I didn't have to care about the narrative because the entire thing was in Spanish, and there was no subtitles at the bottom. Everything was just in Spanish. I got introduced to Goku speaking in a very high-pitched voice, so I was very used to that. I didn't get to see the musical stylings or the vocal stylings of Sean Schemmel for quite some time. I simply got to witness the peak that was the Spanish dub of Dragon Ball. It was outstanding, and I ended up watching up until the Cell arc with my friend because he had a bunch of nonsense in his house that allowed me to watch it, and it was amazing and immaculate. I enjoyed every second of it. I hadn't seen the Buu arc at that point in time, and I believe the end of it was the Cell arc, and so I had this idea that this was the end of Dragon Ball, and I understood why people loved it so much. There was so much within it that made it feel so immaculate and amazing to me that I loved every second of it. It is not a meathead anime. There are meathead animes. Baki the Grappler is a meathead anime. Fist of the North Star is a spiritual meathead anime. Crying Freeman is, well, more full of a spiritual meathead anime as well, but there are specifically animes that are specifically geared towards meatheads and strong, buff, macho guys. A big reason why I got into calisthenic training was watching Vegeta, because he was one of the most impressive things I had ever seen. And to start this video off, I believe we should talk about one of the greatest characters in fiction to me, Vegeta. Vegeta starts off as incredibly stronger than Goku, to a point where it makes no sense. He is the brains of the operation and the strength in totality. Nappa is deemed as the muscle, but Vegeta is so much above Nappa that it makes no relative sense why they're even friends or why they're even in the same ballpark. Vegeta hates weakness. The reason a lot of people get confused upon Vegeta's character is how evil and disgusting he was at the beginning. But Vegeta in the beginning is beyond just evil and disgusting. He's cold and calculated. He starts off when Nappa immediately reaches out his hand and says, "Vegeta, you gotta help me." He looks at Nappa, disgusted by his weakness, angered by the fact that Saiyan is asking for help. He should take his defeat with pride. As a matter of fact, had Nappa not asked for help, Vegeta might have even saved him in this moment. He grabbed his arm and destroyed him. Viewing him as a nuisance, Vegeta had to make up for what Nappa lacked. Vegeta only relied on his pure brute strength when, more so, I messed up. Nappa relied on his pure brute strength. Vegeta relied on understanding the battle and mechanisms. Vegeta has a bevy of moves when he's fighting against Goku. He has an electricity move, he has a fireball that he uses, he has a wide variety of different techniques, always something for every situation. Whether he needs to go big brave mode, bravado mode, he has the Ozaru form. He has many different ways to actually combat people in his league or out of his league. He uses everything at his disposal in his arsenal, but he himself is doing so. He is showing the power of royalty. This is the Naruto and Sasuke dilemma if you've ever seen Naruto. Sasuke is alone. Sasuke has nobody on his side. He has his few people. I suppose the Nappa in Sasuke's situation would be Team Hawk, Team Taka. It would be Karin, it'd be Suigetsu, and it'd be Jugo, the three people you see behind me. It would be that. When Vegeta just has Nappa. But when Sasuke loses those people, he goes against Naruto. But he's not just going against Naruto, he's going against the spirit of everybody that has Naruto's back. Hence why Sasuke loses. But even then, Sasuke didn't lose. He drawed with Naruto. Both of them lost their arms at the end of the series. This is the Goku and Vegeta precursor. This is how it operates. This is the precursor of Naruto for Sasuke is Goku and Vegeta. Because Vegeta has no one. There's nobody rooting for Vegeta. There's no somebody in the bleachers saying, Vegeta, you got this in the bag. No, Goku has Krillin, has Gohan, he had Piccolo, and he has the entirety of Earth behind him. As a matter of fact, the culmination of everybody is done in a move known as the Spirit Bomb, where it's the actual Earth energy in totality and essence actually fighting against Vegeta. That's what's happening there. The entirety of the Earth going against the evil trying to destroy it. That's what's happening. And that's the beauty of it. This is the evil. This is the power. This is the struggle. We even see this in every beam struggle and clash that's happening. We see the power of Vegeta going downward to destroy the Earth and Goku pushing him away and out. The paneling in that artwork is absolutely outstanding. That's why it's one of my favorite beam struggles of all time. When he pushes his body to the utmost limit and it still doesn't amount to anything because immediately after this, Goku is out of the battle. After that beam struggle, when he goes Kaioken times 4, after that, he's out of the battle. There's no extra afterwards. He just is done. After that, Vegeta goes Great Ape mode, uses the power of an artificial moon, goes Great Ape, and then proceeds to bully and annihilate Goku. After that, we have to rely on Yajirobe cutting off the tail. We have to rely on the Spirit Bomb manifesting in something different. We have to see a miss because nobody ever accounted for Vegeta just weaving out the way. It deflects back, releases all the evil of the heart, and it hits Vegeta. And what happens after it hits Vegeta is beautiful because he's still alive. He still has enough energy to destroy and annihilate. He still has enough energy to move. It isn't until Gohan ends up turning into a Great Ape to actually crush Vegeta. Vegeta is resilience, Vegeta is royalty, Vegeta is strength. Vegeta at this point in the series is a league stronger than Goku. Without Kaioken, without that, Vegeta is only impressed that somebody that is trash could damage him. He is not impressed by the power in its totality. He is impressed that there's a struggle even being had by this worm. That is the issue in Vegeta's mind. Vegeta in this capacity is the perfect foil for Goku. So Goku is somebody that spends his entire life looking for stronger people, stronger opponents, and trying to figure it out. And he didn't. He didn't get stronger than him. And a lot of people often question Goku's motivation right here, where they say, why did they let Vegeta get away? This seems to be a fault in Goku. This is Goku's character. Goku did not kill Piccolo. You should have known that from Dragon Ball. Goku didn't kill Piccolo because Piccolo followed the rules of the tournament. That's what happened. He entered the tournament. He waited. That's the important part. Goku doesn't want to kill people. He doesn't want to do that. Goku wants to get stronger. He is all about the journey of self-discovery. He believes that no matter how strong he is, there's somebody stronger out there. He doesn't care if someone's super evil. Strength is the only characteristic factor. This is a very big point in Baki the Grappler where no good characters exist to me. Baki is not necessarily a good guy. Yujiro is pure evil, but he is viewed as the pinnacle of strength, and he is not necessarily the villain, he's just the obstacle. When you see Doppo Orochi and Baki the Grappler, when you see all these characters, you don't consider them pure evil, you consider them to be so dedicated to their craft of martial arts that it makes them appear ego-driven and selfish because they have that much confidence in themselves. That is how martial artists are. They are not driven by being this holier than thou person. They are driven by fueling the advent of their own strength in the journey of pure self-discovery, so introspective that the entire world becomes this bigger scope of nothingness. That's what happens. And Vegeta didn't do that. Vegeta trained, but he didn't train as hard as before he met Goku. When Vegeta discovered that training was the main crux and centralized piece, when he discovered there was a bigger peak out there, when he discovered there was more, that's when he began to train. When a Saiyan is close to death, Vegeta introduces the mechanic of a Zenkai boost. This has been memed on to high hell. Everybody says this is stupid, but this is very important. Because what doesn't kill you makes you stronger is the entire mentality of Vegeta. He goes to Namek and fights Kui. Kui gets annihilated immediately. Then Vegeta loses and he proceeds to get stronger from that loss. Because that resilience in his body, that royal blood within him he feels, is making him stronger. He goes through and continues and fights to going over to fight the Ginyu Force and annihilating them, showing cruel, ruthless tactics, showing that you shouldn't go easy on your enemies, finishing what Goku could not do. Even when Goku appeared, he chose not to kill. Vegeta, on the other hand, decided to annihilate. This is very important for Vegeta's character, because Vegeta is showing that you cannot wait, you cannot hesitate. Goku feels as though they could come back stronger, and Vegeta says that's the issue, they could come back stronger. This is a perfect dichotomy between two characters with wildly opposing viewpoints about how to deal with people and how the world works. This is perfection when it comes to showing but not telling. This is amazing. It's so subtle most people don't even notice how amazing it is. It's so subtle, it's the same reason why Vegeta is short. Vegeta is short because you are meant to underestimate him. Throughout the entirety of Dragon Ball, Goku for the whole series is the shorter person, up until the time skip where he gets taller and bigger. But people look at Goku and say, oh, you're a kid, you can't possibly damage me, until he ends up shocking everybody. When Vegeta first appears, that is the first subversion of the entire scope. See, even Raditz is taller than Goku. It is shown that Goku is always put in the smaller position. Piccolo has been taller than Goku, Raditz is taller. But for the first time when Vegeta appears, he's shorter than Goku. He appears and says, yeah, what's up? And for the first time, the villain is the focal point of looking down, because we're supposed to look down on the villain. We're not supposed to view much from Vegeta. And that's why he shocks us so deeply by being such a powerhouse, being one of the biggest threats to ever appear in the series. He is the chaos factor. We don't know what he's going to do. We have the main big villain right now in Namek of Frieza at the current point in the story that I'm talking about. But Vegeta is just there. He is the third tertiary element. All these narrative plot points all conjoined together. The Namek arc may be the best saga in all of Dragon Ball Z, simply by the storytelling and how everything narratively comes together. Vegeta is trying to get the Dragon Balls, and so is Gohan and Krillin and Bulma. They're trying to get the Dragon Balls from Namek to bring back to Earth. There's the advent of Frieza there trying to get the Dragon Balls as well, all centered around the advent of the title of the series. It feels like a final arc. But then we get the introduction of somebody even shorter than Vegeta, Frieza. Thus, a more focal point of we're supposed to look down on Frieza and not even supposed to feel like Frieza is a big threat. Frieza is wildly stronger than Vegeta, having so many different forms to change everything. And we'll talk about Frieza in a future part of the video, but more so Vegeta is destroyed, annihilated. The pride and ego that he had completely shattered by somebody who is smaller than him. So he thought that he was the warrior of legend. He thought he was the self-fulfilling prophecy, but the very thing he looked down upon became that. This encouraged Vegeta to train. This encouraged Vegeta to destroy his entire mindset. This broke Vegeta in essence. It broke Vegeta so much that he could have, without a shadow of a doubt, destroyed everybody on Earth when he got revived. But he decided to go with Bulma. He decided to put himself second. He realized at that exact moment there was something on Earth that made Goku strong. And he was determined to figure out what that was. And this is the softening of Vegeta. The tough exterior that was destroyed was completely annihilated by Frieza. The strongness, the strength that he had and the resilience in himself, the belief in himself was shattered. He no longer had it. His ego death happened. And when his ego death happened, he decided to play nice. He befriended everyone. He befriended the people around him. He trained. He worked hard. And through perseverance and strength, and upon seeing that Goku came back and was a Super Saiyan, and another Super Saiyan appeared from the future, his son, who he didn't even know. This is what caused him to work hard. And finally, after looking deep inside himself, become a Super Saiyan. And upon achieving that self-fulfilling prophecy, he went right back to his old ways. Or more so, he understood that he could have the strength to do so. He needed to prove himself by defeating Kakarot. Never calling him Goku, always calling him Kakarot, refusing to call him by his slave name, Vegeta the Hotep. He lives in all of our souls. And thus, he had to prove himself by defeating this so-called biggest threat to the planet, the androids. The person who defeated Frieza easily was horrified at this new advent, and Frieza ended up dog-walking them, annihilating them. But then he gets broken again by the true threat, Androids 17 and 18. You see, Jiro and 19 were completely worthless. They didn't really matter because the real threat was the other androids, and this was the biggest issue of everything. This was the divider of how the world operated. And it sucked because Vegeta got his arm broken and he trained even harder and he tried his best. But realizing and not understanding that the training wasn't the issue, it was the motivation behind the training that was the issue. His motivation was being destroyed and stunted every single time. He didn't train with Trunks, he trained as Trunks as a subsidiary to him. He used Trunks as a catalyst because Trunks could keep up. Vegeta was always a step behind Goku because Goku wasn't looking to destroy one single goal. Goku was looking to destroy everything. Goku was looking to become the best everywhere. Vegeta then took this and manifested this in the Buu arc as anger, hate, and vitriol, thinking that he had to go back to his hedonistic ways inside of his brain, letting the M mark take over, but realizing that Goku was even holding back. Goku granted him the win. Goku allowed him to win. And this shattered Vegeta's pride. Vegeta sacrificed himself thinking that he had achieved his goal because at the end of his journey, at the end of his revenge, upon beating Goku, upon beating Kakarot even, what was there? His family, his son, nothing. He just gave it all up in a beautiful sacrifice. This was a beautiful character conclusion to Vegeta. And I know a lot of you may bring up Super, how he seems to be a better father, but this to me was the perfect culmination of how Vegeta operated. And I will give in summary my thoughts of how Vegeta operates. Vegeta's ego and pride tore him down indefinitely and allowed him to see the view of the world through a very focal lens, very tunnel vision himself, an echo chamber of everybody around him, so much so that he didn't even take the title of king. He was more content being the prince of all Saiyans. He is no king, he is a prince. Why is Vegeta the prince of all Saiyans? Is it because there is some royal aficionado that makes it to be the king? No, he should be the king of all Saiyans. But he is a prince because he is arrogant. The title in itself shows his pride and ego and his royalty and his title, so much so that a king is regal. A king has justification. A king does not concern himself with the others. A prince does. A prince is still combating and fighting for power. A prince is still looking around and trying to be the best because he has to compete with other royalty. He has to compete with people around him. That is why he's the prince of all Saiyans, because he is no king to no one. He has no kingdom to rule over. He is a prince, a sitting stool, a waiter. He is second best always, never top. That is the issue with his philosophy. He tells himself, I am the prince of all Saiyans. No king, no master. He rules nothing, but he is not content with that. I imagine he would have called himself the king of all Saiyans after he defeated the one Saiyan who was a thorn in his side, but he did not. He continued down his path until he was softened up and molded and reshaped into a facsimile of almost Kakarot, to be indoctrinated into the culture of Earth, to be there with the hilarity, the goofiness of it, to actually care about his son. As we see in Dragon Ball Super and onward and forwards, we see that he is softened as a person and is no longer there for the anger of it all. He loves his wife. He truly does. He loves being a part of it. He loves being in the zeitgeist of everything. And some people say this is a bastardification of what we consider Vegeta. But it is not. It's what he's always been. He had his world shattered each time. And when you have an ego death so many times, you're naturally going to change. You see, I have this big philosophy in my life that I think people don't really change unless a great cataclysm happens inside of their brain or inside of their physical body. People don't know how to change unless something breaks them so they can shatter it and make art with the pieces. And upon that art, they can look upon the deep self-reflection of themselves and actually be a better person because of it. And that's what happened with Vegeta. He was broken by Goku first and his friends, and then by Frieza, and even by the androids. In every arc, he is shattered, broken down, and recreated, until we get the Vegeta we know today. The one that barely gets destroyed, the one that has a definite win over Goku. This is the culmination of his story and character arc. Vegeta cast aside his pride, his ego, one might say, and allowed himself to be a person. This is the beauty of what he is. This is the character journey. And while we care about the character journeys of characters, let's talk about a much less significant, almost Vegeta. Piccolo. There are a lot of reasons why Piccolo is one of my favorite characters. Reason being is because people consider Piccolo black. Why do they call Piccolo black? Oh, he's the uncle at the cookout. Well, there's a bigger reason besides uncle at the cookout and being the true dad to Gohan. The reason they call him black is because he doesn't know his history. When he discovers his history, he fully immerses himself into the Namekian culture. He does fusion, spiritual, things of that variety. He's considered a demon but accepted by the one person. He is considered black because he is the outcast, different colored skin. Everybody around him is scared of him. They don't really know what it is. But later on, he becomes an accepted member within everything. But when Piccolo first appeared, he was King Piccolo. King Piccolo wanted to destroy the world. He was a demon, other half of Kami, other half of God. Literally an illusion for the God and devil is how it operated. Goku defeating the devil while training with God on Kami's lookout. That's exactly what happened. Kami means God. This is Piccolo. Piccolo had his spawn go out there, Majunior, in the tournament, but the Majunior part was a little softened. He was annihilated and destroyed, still cruel and ruthless. However, the beauty of that, and the beauty of what happened, is that Goku defeated him. Goku didn't kill him. Goku showed that I would take pity upon you because you're not worth my time. This changed Piccolo. Piccolo developed a technique that was a sure kill technique, the special beam cannon, the Masa Kenpankpo, whatever you say it. And he developed this technique only to actually be used to kill Goku. But after he achieved his goal, he killed Goku. He did it. He beat Goku. What was after that? Did he decide to take over the world? No, there was going to be no world takeover because there was bigger threats out there. And thus Piccolo understood the value of training. Piccolo trained hard. Piccolo trained Gohan. Piccolo needed more. He thought it'd be beautiful to train his enemy's son to be just like him. Haha, this would be amazing. But it wasn't that. He ended up getting softened by the world, softened by Earth, softened by Gohan, softened by somebody that didn't judge him preconceivedly. And that's why people consider Piccolo black, a large part of it too. Reason why people consider Piccolo black is because somebody actually listened to him and it changed them. When you actually listen to a black person, it changes them. They learn, they listen, you both come away learning something, you both compromise. Not preconceived judgments, not stereotyping Piccolo by being a demon. Yes, he's a demon, but he's more than that. He's also the reason the Dragon Balls are there. He's also somebody that wants to have someone to talk to. Who does Piccolo talk to? Gohan, the most. And he finally found a friend. He sacrificed himself, breaking down the barrier. The Vegeta before Vegeta, essentially. That's what he did. It was beautiful. It was nice. It was cathartic to witness. Upon learning his heritage and everything else about him, Piccolo did everything in his power to be strong enough to help Gohan. He fused. He allowed himself to be engrossed in his culture. And later we see that he's pretty much shafted out the story and isn't a big focal point or crew point, aside from his last true battle being the battle against Android 17. But he tried. He trained. He worked hard. Nowadays, Piccolo is only used for a background point and piece of the character and piece of the Power Rewards member. But that's just how it operates. But Piccolo represents something deeper within the story. How the earth changes you. How people around you change you. How it shatters your ego and makes you feel like you can actually be a part of a group and a collective. How it shatters the big parts of you that you want to hide away from the world. And Piccolo annihilates that. Of course, this happened with everybody in Dragon Ball Z. It happened with Yamcha, because Yamcha was a villain at first. Happened with Tien, but Tien is Chinese, so they're never going to respect Tien. That's why Tien doesn't have many battles in Dragon Ball, because he's Chinese. And if you know Japanese and Chinese people, they hate each other, so they're never going to respect Tien. He's just going to be there as a background thing. But that's how it operates. That's what he is. That's what it was. This is why it matters. This is why it's so important. Because this is shattering yourself to build something greater. The only way anybody gets stronger in Dragon Ball Z, truly, that's in any way important, is by having their worldview completely annihilated and reshaped by the Earth. Not just Goku, the Earth in itself. Because Goku is a product of the Earth. That's what happens. And somebody that fully represents the shattering of oneself is my least favorite character in all of Dragon Ball. And my favorite at the same time, Gohan. Gohan is interesting to me because he's completely worthless. I love everything about Gohan, but I don't think the author of the manga knows what he wants to do with the character, or more so what he did want to do with the character. God rest his soul, Akira Toriyama. I do not know what the entire point of even introducing Gohan was. It was trying to shift off onto a better character. There are many shows that try their best to make a new main character. We have Seven Deadly Sins, which tried to make the new character somebody that is closer related to the main character, which did horrible and it sucked in totality. And I hate the Seven Deadly Sins. Just want to point that out. They did a horrible job with that. There is Naruto, in which they tried to make Boruto some point of significant factor, and they tried to do that, a continuation of the series. Whenever you have something that shifts away from the main character and tries to put it to the bigger character, you end up ruining everything in totality. There are shows that do this amazingly, and shows that do this completely garbage. One of my favorite shows that did this would be Soul Eater. And I'm not going to explain why that is, because that would be a little bit of a spoiler. I recommend you watch Soul Eater. And then I recommend you watch the other series by the same author. It will be very important to do so, because that is a beautiful passing of the torch that did it amazingly. And I wish more shows did it in that vein, similar to how they did it. It is very hard to, when you are fully invested in a character, to make me love somebody else. And that's what Gohan was. Immediately upon introducing Gohan, he has a tail, he looks just like his dad, and Goku says, well, he doesn't want to fight. He wants to be a scholar. This is the complete opposite of Goku. You see, Chi-Chi and Goku are idiots. They are country bumpkins. They are not book smart. They are more so street smart and battle smart. Many people may not remember this because I don't know why they think Chi-Chi is not this. She is the daughter of the banded Ox King. That is who Chi-Chi is. She comes from a lineage of being in the mountains. That's how she operates. She knows nothing of school. She knows nothing of that variety. She just knows that if you're smart, you get better in life, and that's how it works. Very Japanese work culture of her is how it operates. And Goku wants that. Goku doesn't want his son to go through the hardships and battles that he went through, until Gohan actively states, I want to. Around the Namek arc is when Goku says, okay, you want to be like your old man? We can do this. So he allows Gohan to go and fight. Gohan makes his decision himself because he feels like it is a duty. He has to, but he doesn't understand the core of why he's doing it. He does it to protect. Goku does not fight to protect. Goku fights to scrap. Goku fights to get hands thrown. That is how he operates as a human being. Gohan fights for the exact opposite reason of Goku. They are complete parallels to each other. They don't exist next to each other. Gohan is going to Namek in order to save Mr. Piccolo because he loves Mr. Piccolo. That is his whole motivation. That's what he wants to do. And he ends up becoming really good friends with Krillin over this journey because, well, by all means, they're stuck together for a while. And thus Krillin is stuck in the best friend role. He was the best friend of Goku, and now he's the best friend of Gohan during the Namek saga. And this is how the story operates. We are meant to love Gohan. We're meant to see his violent burst of strength and see him, oh, he fought against Nappa and see this, but know that he's still a kid. And we're supposed to feel sorry for him. But Goku was a kid. Goku was a kid fighting against these people. He didn't have any hesitation. Gohan's hesitation becomes full stops too often, where he can't fight against Raccoon or Goldo, where he can't actually tap in, where he gets his neck broken because he didn't actually lock into these battles. This is where everybody has an issue with Gohan. It's where everybody hates the character. So everybody doesn't want to be a part of what he is because he's super annoying. And they hate him for being a kid. They hate him for being a child when he doesn't have anything to go off of. This is an issue because everybody remembers the most pivotal moment in Gohan's journey. I consider the Hyperbolic Time Chamber arc to be the best showcasing of Goku being a father. That's how I feel. Because it shows that he actually cares and doesn't want to push people too hard. He is a perfect mentor in this entire arc. And he knows Gohan is the next defender of the Earth because he cares about the Earth. Goku wants to train. Goku wants to do other things. Goku is willing to risk it all to train the next generation, but he doesn't know how. So he forces Gohan into the role. And Gohan wants to be forced into the role because he thinks it's going to bring him closer to his father. But it is not. They are working with two very separate motivations here in the entire Hyperbolic Time Chamber arc. Goku is trying to train the future, while Gohan is trying to live in the present and be with his father. It's very depressing and sad when you think about it that way. And so Gohan goes Super Saiyan 2, and everybody considers this to be the most pivotal, amazing moment in the entirety of Dragon Ball. They say, oh, this is the culmination of Gohan's character. He's supposed to be the strong savior type. He's supposed to care. A quiet rage bellowing within his body, a slumbering beast to defeat Cell. This is much more important than you think. And I'll get to this later, but I want to talk about this now. And I'll mention it now. This defeating of Cell in Super Saiyan 2 is simply the breaking of generational trauma. That's all it is. And I'll talk about that later when I get to the story section of the video. But I think that since we talked about Vegeta, we talked about a few side characters, talked about Gohan, I believe we can talk about everybody who came to this video for, I imagine. And that'd be Goku. Let's talk about Kakarot. I don't believe I can talk about Goku in full effect without first mentioning the entirety of the story of Dragon Ball Z, because Goku is the story of Dragon Ball Z. He is the main reason why everything happens. From the beginning of Dragon Ball, to him having the Dragon Ball, to Bulma finding him, to every single point of the story is contingent around what Goku does, because he is the main reason why everything happens. Throughout the entirety of Dragon Ball, we don't know why Goku is here. We don't know why he can turn into an ape. We don't understand why that is. We just assume that it's basing off the journey to the west, the story of Sun Wukong. We have no clue. We have no idea why it's happening. We get a further elaboration on the very first episode of Dragon Ball Z. Goku's brother appears. We discover that he is actually an alien from a warrior race from the sky. That is what happens. He literally comes from the heavens. That is where he's from, the sky. And so, we get more introspective deep divings into Goku's entire narrative point. The reason why the strongest being of all time has come to this earth was to see if Goku finished the task. Did Goku destroy the entirety of everything? No. Goku fights against his heritage, his lineage. He fights against it by choosing his found family. This immediately shows that blood may be thicker than water, but you can't get that far with blood. You can't swim that far in blood. It's too thick. It's too thick-skulled. It's too thick-headed. Because Raditz doesn't listen. Unless Raditz and Goku die. This is effectively the ending of what happens. Piccolo takes them both out. Goku then trains in the other world. Because if you already train with God, train with God's God, King Kai. That's what happens. He comes back with divine techniques. Techniques that are meant to destroy and annihilate. And Goku is there fighting against the odds. Fighting against the actual lineage of his own creation. Goku is fighting not just against Vegeta, Nappa, and Raditz. He's fighting against his entire race for the sanctity of his found family. This is why Vegeta calls him Kakarot. Because why are you fighting against your own people? Yes, it's hypocritical of Vegeta to actively do this after destroying Nappa. But he sees that Kakarot has strength. He sees that Goku is powerful. Why are you fighting for these weaklings? Because Goku values weakness because it teaches. When you are weak, you have to survive. When you're weak, you have to learn how to survive. That's why you learn techniques such as the solar flare. You learn the multi-form technique. You learn these abilities in order to circumvent. You learn martial arts and kung fu in order to make up for your weakness, to use the opponent's advantages against them. That is what it is. But Goku is strong enough to do that and more because he knows he's weaker. than Vegeta. He's aware of that. He knows that. But he still fights. He still tries. Because he is there to challenge himself. And this is where we see the true character of Goku in essence. A lot of people say Goku should have killed him. Then why didn't Goku kill Piccolo? You may ask. Because Piccolo was stronger than Goku. Piccolo was incredibly stronger than Goku. And he wanted to prove that he could defeat Piccolo anytime. He wanted to prove to Vegeta that he could come back, fight. We'll fight again one-on-one this time. I can defeat you anytime. That's Goku's entire mentality. As a matter of fact, when he goes to Namek and he ends up fighting everybody there, Goku doesn't kill anybody. Vegeta does. Goku breaks Burter's back and fights Jace, but he says, take your buddy and get out of here. And then Vegeta crushes Burter's neck and destroys him. This is Goku. He wants people to come back stronger so that he can get stronger and he can have a training buddy forever. He just wants to keep sparring and keep learning from himself and become a greater version of who he is. But Vegeta understands that that's not how the real world works. Not everybody is so stupid to think that. Goku, however, wants that. This creates all of Goku's problems. Every one of Goku's problems, besides the Red Ribbon Army, is because Goku didn't go hard enough. And when Goku did go too hard, he created Cell. I'll explain that when we get to it. So Goku is doing everything in his power, everything in his strength, everything in his body to find a strong opponent. And thus, when he finally meets Frieza, when he sees Frieza, he says, "Oh, you seem pretty strong." And despite Goku using every single technique, all of it, he merely manages to ever so slightly damage Frieza, who has so much more in the tank, it doesn't make any sense. It is only when Goku fully understands the weight of trying to better himself too deeply and loses his best friend, loses Krillin, that he taps into that inner primal rage and becomes a Super Saiyan. You see, I've always felt this to be quite fun. I don't like the English translation of the dub of Dragon Ball for this one line. He says, "Protector of universe, nightmare to people like you." That doesn't really encapsulate what Super Saiyan is or what Goku has been the entire story. Goku is not a protector. By virtue of him improving himself, he accidentally became a protector. Gohan's a protector. Goku is a fighter. Goku battles. If you are a threat to him or a threat to his family, he will fight. But ever so rarely, he does not protect. By virtue, protection is secondary to him. He is more so concerned about improving himself. If he cared about protecting, he'd kill Vegeta. If he cared about protecting, he'd kill Piccolo. And if he cared about protecting, he wouldn't have given Frieza, after annihilating and destroying him, power at the end of it. He decided to give Frieza a boost, power, to let him go. That was an issue. Frieza took this advantage immediately and tried to attack. And this, from the beginning of Dragon Ball to the end of the Frieza arc, is the end of Goku's character arc, period. This is it. Him reaching Super Saiyan, becoming the self-fulfilling prophecy, the warrior of rage, tempted by the machinations of having a kind heart. This is what the culmination of Goku's story is. He is a contradiction. He is a warrior fueled by rage with a kind heart. He is somebody that understands the implications of his actions at the end of everything. He chooses to be kind in a way that is silly to everyone around him but himself. He tells Frieza, "If you come back, I'll beat you again. I'm stronger than you." And Frieza says, "No, I refuse to be beaten by you again. I will take you out right now. I am the strongest." And it's the first time that Goku had to deal with somebody like this. It's the first time where his kindness was met with immediate evil. Even Vegeta took the kindness. Piccolo took the kindness. The people that he's fought before took the kindness. Frieza didn't. Frieza refused. Nappa was going to take the kindness, but Vegeta didn't allow it to happen. This is the end of Goku's character arc, where he finally becomes the biggest threat in the universe. Goku becomes centerfold and perfect. As a matter of fact, in the Android arc, The results of Goku are the main issue, not Goku in itself. You see, in the original timeline, Goku dies. He has a heart attack and he's gone. Trunks comes back in order to actively save everything and try to fix everything, but that doesn't really work. Goku is supposed to die here. Goku is not supposed to be there. This shows that even in the main story, the world of Dragon Ball understood that Goku was over with. Goku was done. There's no need for Goku to be there anymore. His body understood it. It was the end of his character arc. He was going to train in the other world and just be done with everything. That was going to be the end of everything. But this is where I was talking about with the generational trauma. We have to deal with Goku's trauma. This is important to talk about. Dealing with Goku's trauma is the most important thing in the entire story. Because what is Cell? Cell is the Red Ribbon Army. Cell is Vegeta, Frieza, Piccolo, even Goku. Cell is everyone. Cell is the culmination of everything Goku has fought. And to prove that you're worth it, to prove that you're worthy, you have to be able to take out everything that your father took. That's where we get Gohan. That is what we get with him. That's what happens. That is the ending and the passing of the torch from Goku to Gohan, the father-son Kamehameha. The reason it's called the father-son Kamehameha is because from the father to the son, the torch is passed. The Kamehameha is fully gone. The reason why Gohan is symbolic that he's even using one arm is to show that Gohan only needs one to do this. He is twice as strong as Goku. He is able to do everything that Goku did. He is able to push with only part of the strength. And while he needed that push from the back to do it, it's all Gohan. Goku is content being dead. Goku is content knowing that the Red Ribbon's gone and there's no possible threat that Goku could have possibly made. Frieza is defeated and gone. That's completely annihilated. That's done. The androids, which were the last thing Goku has did, was completely out of the story. And Gohan was free to do all the new threats by himself and to pursue his dream of being a scholar. Goku was free to train in the other world, and this was the perfect wrap-up of everything. Goku's trauma was defeated, the generational trauma of battle and fighting and all the enemies of long gone past, all in one neat package. That was Cell. That's what happened. That's the beauty of it. And thus, Gohan becomes the true savior, and Goku is gone. Goku had such an amazing, impressive character arc that you would be remiss to even think that it was even that subtle within the story. Most people don't even consider Goku to be a good father, but that is also a falsehood. Goku is a great father. Goku sacrificed himself, and every moment when Goku had free time, from the beginning to Zero to then, Goku didn't focus on training, he focused on working on his family. Goku worked incredibly hard, rushed the Snake Way, and immediately went to Gohan to make sure he was safe. That's what happened. And the only reason that he allowed Gohan to go to Namek by himself was because he was too weak and Gohan asked him to. Gohan got permission from his father. Gohan immediately wanted to help Piccolo because Piccolo needed it. Goku allowed this. Goku then rushed immediately as soon as he felt better to go help his son. He went to Namek, and the first thing he did upon hitting Namek was find his son, help him out, give his son a senzu bean, and make sure that he was okay. But the world kept happening around Goku. He kept having to fight. He kept having to battle. He got his body taken over by Ginyu and he was weak again. And the instant he got strong again, he went right over to help his son fight Frieza. That's what happened. And he knew that he was filled with rage from losing his friend. So he said, I don't want you to get hurt. Leave. It's always my favorite thing in stories when the main character tells the weaker character to leave. It's always so fun. My favorite example of this is Avatar: The Last Airbender. Whenever Aang is about to fight somebody really strong, the Fire Lord Ozai, he tells Momo to, all right, Momo, you got to get out of here. I love those moments so much because it feels so real. Because they know that, yes, you are weaker than me and you can't do anything. And I don't want you to get hurt because I'm about to go buck wild here. This is so fun for me. And so Goku, filled with rage, tries his best to get back to Earth. And people say, oh, well, Yardrat, he went to Yardrat. Goku at that point understood that every issue was because of him. Raditz came to Earth because of Goku. He didn't want his son to be in danger, so he waited. And when he came back after training and becoming strong enough, he ended up training even more. He ended up coming back and saying, okay, well, the androids are my fault. I know the Red Ribbon Army. This is actually my fault. I have to deal with it. He takes the heart medicine because they want to, what do the androids want to do? Kill Goku. It's their only objective. And he is the problem. Throughout the entire arc, he has to have this introspective, deep journey looking around and realizing these people are suffering. My family's in danger. The earth is in danger. My son can't be a scholar because of me. And he trains with his son for a long time, spending that long in the hyperbolic time chamber and teaching his son everything that he knew, being the best teacher and motivator, learning that you don't want to do this big super form, going beyond the barrier of Super Saiyan, being able to stay in it just regular, staying in Super Saiyan form in base without any stress or stressors, discovering what it is to be a true teacher. And thus, he fights Cell. Beautiful battle, by the way. Amazing choreography. Outstanding work. He fights Cell. And then he looks and says, I shouldn't be the one to defeat Cell. It should be my son. My son has to do this because I'm not going to be here forever. And if I keep making issues because I keep wanting to fight strong people, this is going to get bad all around. But he made an error. Piccolo even pointed out this error. Your son doesn't like fighting like you. And I've always felt a little bit torn by this. And I might be the only person that's ever felt torn by this. Upon Goku's realization. I think Goku's realization is not the fact of a matter of, I knew Gohan didn't like fighting. I believe Goku knew that. I believe the issue here is that I thought Gohan would lock in. I believe that's the bigger issue that Goku has. I believe he assumed that Gohan wouldn't, particularly like fighting, but more so would be able to, at the moments where he needs to, be able to do his best to do so. But power got to Gohan's head. Goku didn't experience the power high that Gohan had. He thought that he would be ready. He thought the training was sufficient, but it was not. So Goku realized his mistake as a teacher and took Cell away to King Kai's planet to get blown up. This was interesting. This was wild. This is wacky. This is Goku. This is what it means to be the end of your character arc. To die. When you've done all you can, what else is there to do? That's why Vegeta was gone in the Buu arc. This is the end of everything. Now, I could talk about the Buu arc and how Super Saiyan 3 Goku was a bunch of garbage. I am actually. Let's talk about the forms and why they matter the most. We could say that Dragon Ball Z popularized forms, right? We could say that Dragon Ball Z made forms expressive and powerful. We can say that people such as Naruto wouldn't have had all the forms without Dragon Ball Z. We could say One Piece wouldn't have had it. We can even say Bleach wouldn't have had it, because when a character gets a new form or transformation, that is outstanding. It's amazing. When the most iconic moment to me in form transformations has to be Super Saiyan 1. It's got to be. Reason being is because it was the first. It was the original. It's what most people have seen. There are forms that are better narratively by a wide metric and margin. I think Luffy's forms are better narratively for the story. But when it comes to Dragon Ball Z, I think that Super Saiyan is the greatest culmination centerfold piece in media ever, because nobody suspected it. We kept hearing about it. We kept learning about it. And when Super Saiyan was introduced, there was no doubt that Goku was going to win. Not even a single doubt. We knew that this form meant, oh, this is victory. Because when a new form is introduced, it means victory. That is the victory bell. That is the new shedding of the skin, the callousing. This is Son Goku, Super Saiyan 1. When Gohan first transformed into Super Saiyan 2, there was no doubt that he was going to win, but there was going to be some struggle. When Super Saiyan 1 Goku appeared, he still was under the impression of that he could die. Frieza still had something up his sleeve, and Frieza bulked up and transformed. This was very important because it showed that despite the new form, you still have to lock in and care about what's going on around in your story. Super Saiyan 2 Gohan, we knew he was going to win, but how? And then Cell got a new form. When Trunks first appeared, and we saw that Trunks was a Super Saiyan, We knew that Frieza was cooked. We didn't even, he was done. We knew he was annihilated. We just knew immediately. And those transformations, those first time transformations are very important. Every single time a first transformation happens in Dragon Ball Z, Vegeta when he first transformed, Piccolo when he first fought second form Frieza, Piccolo when he fought Android 17. We knew that the new form meant immense power, strength. We knew that it meant a shift in everything. And when villains got new forms, we knew the same thing there. It was a new threat. It was a new scale. It was a higher ceiling to cross over, and it reinvented the threat with the same exact villain. That's the beauty of having a new form. Or when somebody says, I've only been using 10% of my power, or 50% of my power, it shows that a threat is still the same narrative threat, but with a higher escalation. The ceiling is way higher, despite the narrative being exactly the same. That's the beauty of introducing a new form. You don't got to change your characters. However, what if your new form is an entirely new character? What do you do then? Huh? What happens there? That's where we got fusions from. Sure, it's two characters put together, Vegeta, Gogeta, Gotenks. But what happens there? Super Saiyan 3 has 0 victories outside of Hirudegarn. That's what it has. Super Saiyan 3 did absolutely nothing. Super Saiyan 3 has not beaten Majin Buu. Super Saiyan 3 has effectively been a worthless narrative focal line in the entirety of Dragon Ball Z. Looks cool, a lot of hair, but didn't really do anything. Fusion didn't do anything either. Who did Gotenks beat? Nobody? No one. And I know we don't care about the end point of everything. We only care about the end point of everything. Isn't that weird to say? I just said the same thing exactly. A lot of people will tell me, we don't care that he didn't destroy anybody. You do. The only thing you care about with the new form is the impact it has on defeating the villain. That's the important part of the new form. Because when you introduce a new form, you care about what the new form is going to do. If the new form doesn't do anything, what was the point of introducing a new form? What is the narrative point of Super Saiyan 3? Nothing? Great. It's only to show that Vegeta had something more to overcome with Goku is the best thing I can even think of when it comes to that. So it didn't do anything in the great story. Didn't do anything. What did Gotenks do when he fused? He lost the Super Buu still. He got absorbed actually. He became a conduit of power for Super Buu is what happened. When Gohan got his new form and he walked up and called Super Buu the R-slur, what happened after that? Oh great, you know what happened after that? Gohan lost. Gohan lost to a new form because guess what? Super Buu absorbed Gotenks and then ended up whooping on Ultimate Gohan. That's what happened. The new form is supposed to be that. But even with Dragon Ball Super, and now I'm going to talk about Dragon Ball Super because I'm kind of forced to at this point. Dragon Ball Super, every new form that's in Dragon Ball Super does effectively nothing. As a matter of fact, not a single new form in Dragon Ball Super has won a battle. Super Saiyan God, 0 victories under his belt. Not one. Didn't beat Beerus. Held him off at bay, but didn't beat him. Super Saiyan Blue didn't really beat Golden Frieza. Super Saiyan Blue appeared. Frieza still won, and then the world got reversed. That's what happened. The new forms don't mean anything. They're a marketing gimmick now in Dragon Ball Super. They don't mean anything. They're worthless. They don't have any narrative focal point. Ultra Instinct looks cool. Amazing. But did Ultra Instinct beat Jiren? No, actually. Ultra Instinct did not beat Jiren. Ultra Instinct did literally nothing. Period. It's just Goku with white hair. That's it. That's the big reveal. It didn't do anything. It's worthless. But in earlier Dragon Ball, it meant something. It meant something to the story. It meant something to the plot. I want to talk about my favorite villain in Dragon Ball Z, Frieza. Frieza is the best thing to ever happen to Dragon Ball Z. Frieza is snarky. Frieza is confident. Frieza has immense confidence in himself. He is disgustingly arrogant. He is more arrogant than Vegeta, and that is a crazy thing to bring up. Frieza, every time Frieza transformed, it was a nightmare. Nobody knew if it was the end. Nobody knew what was going on. It was devilish and hellish. As a matter of fact, every form of Frieza represents the forms of Goku. Frieza's first form is Kid Goku. a smaller combatant that has immense power more than everybody else. Second form Frieza is the big guy, the big person that comes up that's supposed to be stronger. That is the narrative focal point of Goku now. Goku is taller than Vegeta. Goku is the bigger threat. Goku is the main one. And then third form is Alien, is when Raditz appears. That's what happens. Second form Frieza can be viewed as Demon King Piccolo, as with the horns of the demon, as with Satan. It could also be viewed as Goku in the current form. Third form Frieza is Raditz, an alien threat, hence why it looks alien. And fourth form Frieza is the pure centered focal point of all of it culminating together. That is Goku on Namek. That is the controlled power of all that strength, all in one form. That's what it is. That is Frieza. Frieza is my favorite allegory for how the main character should be the villain. Let me explain what I mean by that. A good villain is the main character with a few tweaks. That is exactly what a good villain is. Let's take Joker, for example. The Joker often is said to be as intelligent as Black Batman. They're both as crazy as each other. They complete each other. Lex Luthor and Superman both really care about humanity. Lex Luthor really cares about humanity. Lex Luthor, however, only cares about humanity if humanity's doing it and doesn't view Superman as part of humanity because he's an alien. It's the main reason why he hates him. It's a big reason why there are issues with each other. Whole thing is there. This is beautiful to me. I love this. This is my favorite thing on the planet when they do that elegantly. Cell literally is Goku. I don't really know how to phrase that better. Cell is Goku. I don't know about Majin Buu. Majin Buu really, that whole arc is garbage to me. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to go into the narrative implications of the Buu arc because it's complete trash. It really is. It's not really good at all. I think the Buu arc is fine. It's serviceable, but I think it's complete trash. But the forms of these characters mean something in the greater narrative of the story. And when you have something that doesn't mean anything in the story, you end up becoming a parody of yourself. Speaking of parodies, let's talk about Dragon Ball Abridged. Hey, this is the intermission. A lot of you guys are probably wondering what was the point of even making this video, why make it so long, why even do this? Well, because I have a lot to say about Dragon Ball Z, and my thoughts are scatterbrained. If I don't get my thoughts out, they end up becoming a thing that comes inside of my brain. It ends up messing me up and eating on the inside of my soul and body, and I feel disgusting when they just stand there. This is a little intermission period, so you can get some snacks, do something of that variety, and we can have a conversation about the world and its overall nonsense. So, right now in the world, there's a bunch of garbage going on that I don't care about. And the reason I make videos this longer and make videos in general is because I can't allow these thoughts to subsidize and make little crickets and chirps inside of my brain to eat at the annoying size inside of them. And it feels good to have people actually talk to me and be narratively there for me and actively want to be a part of my life. And I'm discovering now that, especially in the later years of my life, why people have families. You see, I got a vasectomy. And it is reversible, but I don't want a family. I have a little bit of my sperm stored, but I got a vasectomy because I didn't want a child to actively be a part of the machinations of my brain. And now that I've become my own boss, essentially, I can make my own hours at Amazon. I choose the hours I work. I have a scheduler app, and I make the hours when I make these videos. I'm discovering that I have to be a good employee. And when you become your own boss, you realize that you might be a bad employee. A lot of people will discover this upon actively achieving some form of success online, where they realize that, oh my goodness, this is getting a little difficult. I got to figure out how to do this by myself. They may make a lot of financial errors, hiring editors, doing all these things, thumbnail artists, in order to not do it themselves. But the journey of Dragon Ball Z to me, the journey of life, is figuring it out how to do things yourself. That's why I love Dragon Ball Z so much, because Goku figures it out. Goku has an issue, and he says, I'll look inside myself and figure it out. It's a big part of anime in totality. A big part of media in totality is to present ideas in a way where they don't exactly become reality, but they're just ideas to become so. A lot of people say when a character arc is done, you should kill off that character, but that's not real. If your character arc is done in real life, do you just die? Is that what you do? No, you discover new things to do. You discover new points to actually become. That's what happens. And sometimes things go on too long. I think Dragon Ball Z has gone on too long. Or Dragon Ball in totality as a franchise is such a profitable margin that people are so banking on nostalgia that no matter what media we get, no matter how many retcons we get, we just want more Dragon Ball to the point where it's actually detrimental to our brain and the branding of what the series is. We end up ruining a large part of what it is. because Super sucks. Dragon Ball Super is complete garbage. But Vegeta Blue did absolutely nothing to Zamasu. Just witnessing the actual bastardization of the series to the point of where it became is nasty. And I think this is more in part to become of Akira Toriyama either being sick of making a story, wanting to make money, or his editor that actually told him to actually change things was no longer with him. And not having that editor to actually be the background focal point actually may have damaged the series in the long run for a lot of people. I know a lot of people say that the real end of Dragon Ball Z is the Cell arc, or the real end of Dragon Ball Z is when Oob appeared, or they even consider GT a thing. And there's so many different things, but that keeps people talking. A big thing when you make something is a lot of people accuse me of rage bait. I recently released a video called Please Don't Watch One Piece, and I genuinely mean that. Don't watch it. Read it. It's what the main message of what I was getting there. I even in some points titled it in the way where you should see it. If you watch the full video, you would understand, or at least watch it at 2x speed or something like that to actually witness what I'm talking about. You'd understand what I'm saying. But I saw a lot of people arguing with me and saying, this ain't it, Chief. This ain't what you're supposed to be talking about. This ain't it. Knowing that people just watched or read the title and not actually involve themselves with anything. I think a lot of people will often look at something on the outside in and think it's amazing. Same way when you're on Tinder or Hinge or Bumble and you say to yourself, oh, this person looks cool, I'm going to swipe on them. When you don't know anything about them, you didn't read their profile or their bio, you just saw they looked amazing. You saw they were 6 foot and you said, oh, he's cute. Or you saw that she was short and thick and you said, oh, I'll do this. When in reality, she has 4 kids, or in reality, he has herpes. He may have even put that in his bio. Who knows? Who knows what's going on? This is an issue of media literacy. And media literacy is a big issue. It's probably why a lot of people watch videos such as this that are long analysis of their favorite shows, because they want to learn more about what it means behind the curtain. They want to learn what is behind the veil. Maybe their favorite show is even deeper than what they thought it was. One of my favorite shows of all time is a kids show called Infinity Train. Infinity Train is almost impossible to watch anywhere unless you use a pirating website. There's no way to watch Infinity Train. Infinity Train is the greatest piece of media and fiction I've ever witnessed in my entire life. I've never felt so in tune with something in all my days. My ex showed it to me. My ex was an amazing person, and I'm happy she showed me that show. She showed me this show at a point in time where I was just so out of it. And the show changed my outlook on life. It changed how I viewed interactions. And it's moments like those where a breaking of a character happens, where a breaking of what you are happens, that I want to be in. I like to be more into things that make me break apart. I want to shatter my ego and destroy myself so that I can reinvent myself in ways that make others around me envious of the strength that I have overcame with. When I was younger, I had an idea for myself. I never wanted to make content, to be fair with you. I wanted to be in an office. I wanted to file papers. That's what I wanted. I wanted to have a good time filing papers, being in an office, doing busy work more so. It's my favorite thing to think about. And what happened is I went to work. I got 3 bachelor degrees. I have 3 bachelors. And I went to work at my first actual office job. And people loved the way that I spoke. People loved speaking to me. As a matter of fact, I became the highest sales member on the team in the first 3 months. Got my vacation, got all that stuff. And despite the fact that I was a felon, they really enjoyed me. They enjoyed everything about me. I got more hours because my managers wanted to speak to me more. They just wanted to have pleasant conversation. And so I tried stand-up. I did stand-up and I was phenomenal at it. I didn't write down any of my jokes. I just spoke. And people were so enthralled by the way that I spoke my vernacular without writing a single joke down. Every 5 minutes set I crushed. I crushed every time I went up on stage. But I didn't want to do that. I stopped going to open mics. Other comedians bored me because they kept asking me or tried to steal my jokes but didn't have my cadence. And it sucked. It sucked garbage. It sucked ass. It's not fun to do. And I wanted to just be in my office job and not deal with people. I wanted to not have interactions with people. Big reason why I don't read a lot of comments or respond to a lot of comments is because I read those and they upset me. They do. They get to me. When you message me personally, you say something evil to me, it gets to me really bad. And I never see the nice ones because I don't look at any of them. Even if you're complimenting me or something of that variety, it's hard to. When I do look at them, I get too involved. I get too invested because I care so much about my outlook on things or people's outlook on me. Or at least I used to when I first started doing this 14 years ago. I don't care anymore at all. As a matter of fact, if everyone hates me, great. I don't care. I'm going to post whatever I feel like forever. I have learned that people are on the internet sometimes to just piss you off. And some people actually have a deep connection with you. But then some people want to be too relatable to you to the point where they feel like they are you. And they put themselves inside of you and they say, we're the same person. None of you are me. You never will be. And I will never be you. And that's fine. As a matter of fact, even if I have schizoaffective, I have schizoaffective. Even if you relate to me, you have autism, I don't have autism. Even if you relate to me and you have ADHD, I do not have ADHD or ADD or anything of that variety. I don't. If you relate to me in some capacity, in some flex, in some contingency point, it is okay and fine to relate to me. But I don't care. I believe we have a relatability issue because people believe too much in solidarity. I think that people in all veins and all stretches of life want to be in a group. They crave community more than anything. Same reason why you see a white person and they say, well, I grew up without a father and I ate ramen noodles with hot sauce and cheese, so I'm black and I grew up in a struggle so I can say the N-word. You don't have to grow up in struggle to say the N-word. You don't have to grow up in struggle. It's not really a thing here. If you attribute that poor people are black, then that's racist. I don't want to tell you that. That's just racism. I don't want to tell you. If you think your accolades of suffer, like if you think your suffering accolades make you able to actually say a word, then that means you view the people that say the word as trash, is what you're doing there. That feels backhanded. You can't relate your way into being my friend. I love you, but because you exist, not because of who you are, because you don't even like yourself. I know you don't. It's okay. It's fine by me. I know you don't like yourself. I know you don't want to be here. I know you don't care. Why am I going to like somebody that's so self-pity and self-loathing? I'm not going to care about you. I'm not. You don't even care about yourself. I'm just happy you exist. I'm happy you're here. You don't have to prove yourself. Think about that for a second. That's unconditional love. There's no condition to this. It's just love. It's love that you've chosen me of all people among the thousands, hundreds of thousands that have tried to do this. And you've chosen me. Thank you. I'm very happy about that. I respect the action, but I don't know you. And every attempt that you trying to be relatable isn't going to work. It's the big issue of how much knowledge is too much knowledge to where I'm sounding like a narcissist, right? You're so concerned about the appearance of yourself. Your potential is being stunted by your need to be liked. It feels disgusting, doesn't it? To actually look at the outside in and say, wow, I'm really garbage. And that sucks sometimes. To actively not have that little backing point. You know who doesn't like being liked or care about being liked? Vegeta doesn't. Vegeta doesn't care about being liked. He does what he wants to. He cares about his wife and his family and people around him. And those are the main things you should care about. Vegeta chose that family. Vegeta chose to be a part of that. You need to choose the people who matter the most to you. You need to choose the people, even if they're not blood to you, that matter to you, that are the pieces of who you should be inside yourself. We are merely a combination of all the experiences we have in our entire lives. We are a building block of everything that shapes us into who we are. And if you don't know that, then by all means, you should look at your building blocks a bit better. You should figure out how to be introspective about yourself, at least for one moment. You should figure out how to grow, figure out how to be more than what you are. A lot of people don't want to be more than what they are because they hate themselves. And that's fair. It's cool to hate yourself, but I'm not going to be there for you hating yourself the entire time. It sucks. I don't want to be around lonely, depressing people. I want to be around people that are stalwarts, that are strong, that have perseverance, that have gumption, that have bravado, that have that chutzpah inside of their soul, that have that machismo. I want those people around me. And that's what I've craved. I'm not going to be in your pity party forever. I'm really, really not. I refuse to be in your pity party. And if you want to be in a pity party, if you want to have people look down and be sorrowful and pity for you, then stay in your echo chamber. Stay the hell away from me. Because I don't want to be a part of that. And I refuse. And yes, this is the intermissionary period. I hope you grabbed your snacks and things of that variety. But it's also a moment of self-reflection. Let's look at you for a moment. A lot of people are looking for a savior to save them from that dark hole they're stuck in. Maybe something better will happen. Maybe somebody will help them be their safety net. A lover, or maybe somebody even more significant than that. A mentor, a teacher to actually teach them the ways of the world. And maybe there's somebody out there for everything that bad that is happening within your life. And it's going to get better one day. But it's going to get better right now if you decide to make it better. You have to do it. I was homeless for a large part of my life. Sucked. It was garbage. Hate every second of it. Didn't really enjoy it, but I got out of it. I didn't have help from anybody else. I just figured it out. I used people. It sucks to hear. It's horrible, isn't it? Oh my God. You're a user? 100% I am. 100%. Without a doubt. Manipulate the crap out of people to end up to not die. That's how I operate. That's how life works. That's what happened. And it worked. Got a house out of it. Now I sold that house. I wasted all that money giving it to people and strangers because I was stupid and I was young and I was 18. 28 now. Sucks, doesn't it? That's what happens. That's life. You live and you learn and you lose and you lost. And if you're going to spend your entire life looking at yourself, debating on the greatness of what you could possibly be, despite the greatness of what you are, I have no interest in learning from you. I have no interest in being around for your pity party. I have interest in learning about the people that want to be better by themselves, that wants to be better in the soul of what they are. I do not want to see somebody that is a piece of something. I want somebody that is more than everything that they think they are. Are you more than what you are? Are you? Fun little intermission. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope that was a fun little intermission for you. Anyways, back to the main crux of the video, Dragon Ball Abridged. So, this is a big point of contingency for a lot of people. And a lot of people may not have a true way to actually watch Dragon Ball Z. A lot of people may have watched Dragon Ball Z, not remembered it, picked up Abridged, and realized, oh, this is a perfect version. To the point where during the Cell arc, people don't even consider Dragon Ball Abridged to be a parody. They just consider it another translation of the show. It had become its own property and product because Dragon Ball Abridged was beyond faithful to not only the source material, but to the fan base in itself. It respected your time. It cut out all the fluff, all the nonsense, all the gobbledygook, and got straight to the point while adding comedy and interjecting funness within to it. I consider Dragon Ball Abridged to be the modern television issue. Comedians have a lot of podcasts. Do you know that? That most comedians actually have a podcast, and you often will hear a comedian actively say something profound on the podcast. Comedians are basically modern day philosophers because they can view the guise of the world throughout a lens of superiority where they're outside in on it, and they can see things that people don't think about because they're often forced to in order to make jokes about the situations, but they understand the situations in its totality. One of my favorite comedians is George Carlin and Bo Burnham. They often make big narrative critiques about the entirety of totality of society, and they fix everything, or more so they try to find solutions to things while mocking its creative endeavors and mocking even being creative and saying how pretentious it is to even be a comedian in today's society. It's a beautiful thing, and overall it is very fun. Some comedians don't do that. Some comedians are all jokes, but some comedians tell deep narrative truths within the jokes they actually tell. There are a bunch of comedians that do this, and it's beautiful to witness, and it's beautiful to watch. And when you hear a comedian that is all jokes say something profound, it almost doesn't feel foreign because they've already done it. It feels natural. And we're often looking for the jesters of society to often fill in the blank void and take us away from society. But when the jester has to pull you back with comedy and jokes, it often leaves you in almost envy, jealousy almost, of how they're able to do both. How they're able to balance this delicate act on their fingers, perfectly balanced as all things should be. It almost feels unfair somehow. And that's what Dragon Ball Abridged does. Dragon Ball Abridged started off immediately with nothing but jokes. It didn't feel like a faithful recreation of the series, it felt like a big parody of it. And that was the main proprietor of parody things. There was the Sword Art Online Abridged, Dragon Ball Abridged, there was Naruto Abridged, there was all these abridged series, but Dragon Ball was a cut above the rest because it incorporated a variety of editing techniques. It did all these fun things with Nappa being even a better character. Vegeta, look, Vegeta, this is amazing. It made it feel as though Nappa was more annoying than what he actually was, and actually gave a real reason to actually kill Nappa. It made me like Raccoon. I didn't like Raccoon at all. Keep it a bean, keep it a stack with you. I hated that character. I hated his voice. I didn't like what he was, but it made Raccoon into this WWE star, and that made it a lot more fun. Made Frieza more likable, made Frieza more realistic and grounded, and made Goku more encapsulated into his idiot side, to where people assumed that even watched Dragon Ball Z that Goku was always an idiot, and made Vegeta seem significantly more arrogant than what he was, despite the fact that he's already significantly arrogant. It made Krillin seem more incompetent, and made Gohan seem different in totality. It just changed characters, but it made a caricature of a series that we already love. We already seen Dragon Ball Z a multitude of times. It was fun to see a side twist of it, but many people consider that Dragon Ball Abridged did more damage than good, because people would rather watch the comedy as opposed to seeing the realness of it. One of my friends recently wanted to watch all of Dragon Ball, and he said, I think I'll just watch the Abridged. And I said, you should probably watch the original Dragon Ball. He said, nah, it's too long, it's too serious. I don't like it being too serious. Nowadays, a lot of anime have comedy in it. The reason One Piece is so popular is because it has interjection of comedy mixed in with the funniness, and the seriousness mixed together is coalesced in the perfect balancing act. Naruto had comedy in it as well, and that was a fun thing there, but most common anime have comedy. And there is comedy in the original Dragon Ball, but Dragon Ball Abridged made it mostly comedy, partly serious. And a lot of people prefer to laugh than to cry. It's very obvious that people prefer that overall. But when you can make them both muggle together, you create something that is a new chimeric beast of a show. Dragon Ball Abridged is an amazing piece of fan work. I think the Boo arc, the Boo bits that we got, I think the Cell arc that we got, and I think the Frieza arc that we got were all amazing. I would have really loved if we got the Boo arc from Dragon Ball Abridged. I feel like it would have made me actually enjoy the Boo arc, but we didn't. And we get small little narrative through points of what Team 4 Star decides to give us. But with the advent of Dragon Ball Abridged, it showed that there is more to the story than just the meathead nonsense. It showed the deeper subversions of Vegeta's characters. It showed the small points where Goku was actually super intelligent. It showed that Piccolo was actually a tortured soul. It showed everything. It showed a different form of Cell, to where the point where even common Cell in Dragon Ball Fighters took beat points from Dragon Ball Abridged, to where it is interjected so deeply into the DNA of Dragon Ball culture that people assume that that is the real way. I can even say in my own twisted way that I think that some aspect of Dragon Ball Abridged affected the voice direction of Dragon Ball Super Goku somehow. It feels that way, it really does. There's no way to take away the internet from the influence of Dragon Ball. No way to do that. Dragon Ball Z has deeply infected every single culture in every single way. But none so more than Spanish culture for some reason. I don't really know how this happened, and I don't know why it happened, but Spanish culture is the most in love with Dragon Ball Z and Goku. As a matter of fact, it is so much to the point where a meme where people say that if you're getting destroyed by the cartel, just do a Kamehameha wave and do that, and they might actually make you the leader of the gang. It is insane, the love that the Spanish community has for Dragon Ball Z. The first person to show me Dragon Ball Z was a Spanish person, or somebody of Spanish descent in some capacity. That was crazy to me. It feels as though there is this unfair justification and unfair love of Goku in the Spanish community, and I can't even fathom why that is. I don't know what it is. I can't tell ya. I don't know. I genuinely can't. I don't have a reason. Maybe it's because Vegeta's short. A lot of Mexican men are short. Maybe that's it. No clue. I
Can't tell you. Somebody has an answer for me. I'd love it in the comment section down below. That'd be amazing. That'd be beautiful. That'd be beautiful. I'd love that. But as per requested, I was just going to talk about Dragon Ball Z. But for the rest of this video, I will now explain my gripes with Dragon Ball Super. Let go or be dragged is my favorite expression of all time. It's my favorite saying of all time, because it shows a level of resilience in yourself if you're able to let go of something. If you're ever in a relationship and you know that it's failing, you should probably give up on that relationship. Even if you've tried everything, there are core fundamental differences about the two of you, you should probably leave. I love Naruto. Naruto's a really good show to me. I enjoyed the first half of Naruto. Chunin exams was outstanding. Naruto vs Sasuke fight, 2-year time skip, had a little bit of a hiccups here or there, but overall the show Naruto is pretty good. Most shows fail when it comes to the grandiose ending, the spectacular way, the conclusion, and the tight little bow. Toriko, if you don't know what that is, cooking manga, horrible ending, great show, loved every minute of it, loved the manga of it, greatness. But there are a lot of shows that go on for far too long. They don't have the ability to end because there's nothing left to say. Some people say that One Piece is too long, but it has a lot to say. There are a lot of words you can say with One Piece, a lot of narrative points you can actually pull through, a lot of characters that still need further expanded on, a lot of story elements that could possibly be extended because the world is active overall. Dragon Ball Z's world is not active. Dragon Ball Z relies on Goku. As a matter of fact, everything in the story is because of Goku. Raditz came to Earth because of Goku. Frieza knows about the Dragon Balls because of Goku. Cell exists because of Goku. The only reason Majin Buu even was able to have enough power to get resurrected was because of the fight Vegeta and Goku had. And Vegeta is alive because Goku let him live. Everything, every single point in the story is because of Goku. Thus, when you don't have the main character in the story, when you don't need him to actively do anything, you have to create new issues. You have to create new things. But narratively, it falls apart because even the stupidest person watching the show will begin to realize, yeah, maybe Beerus doesn't need to exist because it creates too many plot holes. But plot holes, they don't really matter in Dragon Ball Z because we're getting more Dragon Ball Z. And people would much rather go back to their ex than find somebody new if their ex had a different set of clothes. Their ex had a different personality. Their ex had a different way of doing things, but at their core remained the same. That's Dragon Ball Super. An abusive ex that continually we keep going back to. So, in 2012, when Dragon Ball Z Battle of Gods came out, I saw the Thursday release. I was homeless when that movie came out. I had no home. I had no home at the time. I legitimately had nowhere to live. It was bad, and I had just beaten cancer. I remember this too. I remember because I was destitute, going through physical therapy, and despite all the stuff I was going through, I used the last of my money to go see Dragon Ball Z Battle of Gods. And it was amazing. It was outstanding. Goku got a new form, and I was over the moon about it. But he lost, and I got really pissed. He didn't really win. Beerus didn't die. Beerus just became a point. And at the end of the movie, they revealed that Beerus wasn't even using 100% of his power. I was very, very upset. I was so angry. And everybody else just was so excited and enamored. And I think that was the exact moment I realized, I think I'm different than these people. I think I'm vastly different, and I hate that. Because I thought that we had some form of community. We all understood that new forms meant victory. New forms meant power. I thought that we all understood that. But upon watching Battle of Gods, I looked around and saw the people around me and felt deeply disconnected from every single person. And it hurt. I had never felt so alienated from people who I assumed we were the same kind of person. We weren't. Not even slightly. Not even a little bit. We were vastly, vastly different. And so with the success of that movie, people like me seeing it, the Spanish community all rallying together, all the cartels dropping everything just to go watch Goku. What happened after that was monumental. Dragon Ball Super. New series. Headlined by Akira Toriyama. Oh my god. It had been so long. 1996 is when we had the last true continuation headlined by Akira Toriyama. Last episode. This is the last time we saw anything regarding that. So amazing to witness this. This monumental moment in history. The continuation of a beloved series. First episodes we got weren't even of the series. It was the movie rehashed over again to give the animators more time. Maybe you forgot why you guys get this movie back on. We're going to show you it again. I didn't need to be reminded. I knew exactly why I was here. But it is good to get a recap. And thus, immediately the first issue began to rise inside of my soul and brain. It was a retcon. It was a retroactive continuity to change up what we already had known. Oh, how much you're using 50% of your power. I heard you weren't even using 30% of your power to make Beerus the potential man. He potentially is the strongest thing on the planet. But then we need something bigger than Beerus. Let's bring back Frieza. So they brought back Frieza. What did that prove in the story? Pretty much nothing. Didn't really do anything. Don't even know if Super Saiyan Blue is stronger than Super Saiyan God. I have no clue. I think Super Saiyan Blue is just as strong as Super Saiyan. I have no idea the power scaling anymore because it doesn't exist. And power scaling and power exponential growth is all the series is now. Back in the day, I didn't really care about power scaling and how strong a threat was. I cared more so about what it meant for the characters to break past their own limits. But if you keep telling me and not showing me you're breaking past your limits, what's the point? Oh my god, he's shaking infinity. What does that mean? What does that really mean? That doesn't mean anything. That's worthless information to me. Show me. Show me he's shaking infinity. Show me something that represents infinity and show it being shooken. Show that. Marvel and DC have a great way of expressing this. With DC, they have the source wall. With Marvel, they have the one above all. And characters like Galactus or the one below all. They have characters such as that. They have Eternals. With DC, they have concepts, the anti-monitor, the anti-life equation, the actual core of who Doomsday is, Darkseid is. The Darkseid reactor, things of how Darkseid is. They do that beautifully in the series and the show. That's amazing to me how they do that. I love that. Even showing the different kinds of rings, even with different authors, they're able to do that. But Akira Toriyama, he doesn't know how to show growth. He just tells us that they're stronger. Really? How? Well, there they are. Just know that. Are we supposed to believe that? Yeah. Just believe it. But there's no narrative showing of it. It's just a telling with no narrative showing. I don't care upon seeing, I want to see 100 planets explode and 16 galaxies getting annihilated. I don't care about that. That's not what's important to me. What's important is narratively showing me that the limit has been broken. There's no narrative expressed in any of Dragon Ball Super. Not one. Let's take apart the arcs. The Frieza arc. Why is Frieza so much significantly stronger just because they did a little bit of training? That means that if Frieza trained for a little bit, Frieza will be so much stronger than Cell, Majin Buu, and all those people that it wouldn't make any sense for Frieza to have not trained the entire time. You know what's crazy? In Dragon Ball Z, it's even said that Frieza did train. Even though Frieza said they never trained their entire life, they just naturally had the strength. Well, that's not true. That's a retcon. That's a complete retcon. That is not absorbing the actual information. But the beautiful thing here is the person who made Dragon Ball Z knows that we don't read or care because we want more Dragon Ball so much that we just look past it. And we thought, whatever. And we still absorbed it. After that, we got the universes fighting against each other. The biggest issue to me with Dragon Ball Z was introducing the strongest in the universe immediately. Why do that? Seriously. I want you to picture this, if you will. Imagine you have a new continent that you just discovered, and there are 10 strong people on this continent. And among these 10 people, there's an 11th that is incredibly powerful, and he is the strongest you will ever fight. And now imagine as soon as you first step foot on the continent, you immediately fight the 11th person that's stronger than all the 10. Would you show us the rest of the 10? No. If you want to extend the story, go through the journey of fighting the other 10 people and then show us the strongest. What happened with Dragon Ball Z when Frieza was introduced, they didn't decide to go through planet to planet and fight the strongest on the planet or say there's a planet stronger than Earth. They said, you know the universe? Yeah, this person is the strongest in that. Okay. How do we get bigger than that? Well, we create somebody that has the strongest in the universe and the person that beat the strongest, and we got Cell. Well, how do we get bigger than that? We get out of the universe and go to the dimension world. We go to Underhell. We go to Underworld. We go to Hell. Somebody the strongest in Hell. Okay, how do we get bigger than that? Well, actually, there's a god of pure destruction. Destruction in general. He's stronger than the strongest person in Hell. Well, how do we get bigger than that? Well, and now you have to think. Because you already defeated the strongest in the universe. You done it. You did it. You already defeated a combination creature of the strongest and yourself. You beat that. You already defeated the strongest in another dimension, which is Hell. You did that. Good. What's beyond that? Oh, well, beyond that is... Hold on, let me think. I'm thinking. I'm here with you. Tell me what's beyond that. Okay, hold on. Stop. Okay, let me think. What's beyond that is... Damn it. Angels. Yeah, angels. The angels. Okay. And the angels are stronger than the gods of destruction. Okay. So, Goku has to beat the god of destruction first. Yeah, he'll get to there, but he has to beat the angel too. Okay, so now we have 2 goals to work towards. Perfect. God of destruction, angels. I'm here for it. How do we do that? Well, he's going to train with a god of destruction. No, wait, let's introduce somebody else. What? Somebody that can destroy the universe just by lifting his hand. Okay, let's roll back here. He hasn't even gotten as strong as a god of destruction. Yeah, but there's somebody stronger than that. That's fine. But Goku still isn't as strong as the god of destruction. When did we narratively decide that he's that strong? Did we do that yet? No, we didn't do that yet. I see. This makes sense now. So, is Goku getting stronger? Maybe. He's got a new form. Ultra Instinct. But there's this guy that's stronger than a god of destruction. Who is he? Jiren. What's his backstory? That's not important. What's important is he's super strong. Okay. Did you know there's a bunch of different universes? Oh, that's perfect. Okay. This could go on for years. Okay, so each universe, we go to each universe and go from the weakest universe to the strongest universe because you've already introduced a scaling way by saying which universes are weaker and stronger based on their rating and their score. So we can go through each universe and let's do a tournament where the strongest of each universes just all fight each other in a big battle. You guys like tournament arcs, right? Okay, let's roll back here. I love tournament arcs. Yu Yu Hakusho, best tournament arc of all time. Dark Tournament, peak. Just the best. Hunter x Hunter had a great tournament arc. That was cool. Love that. This isn't a tournament arc. This is a free-for-all. This is not a tournament. There's a big difference. As a matter of fact, Dragon Ball Z even popularized the idea of tournament arcs. This is way different than that. Oh, really? How so? How so? Everybody from every universe is fighting each other. We could have had arcs where we went through each universe and Goku went on a journey of self-discovery to beat Beerus or at least fight the gods of destructions in those universes, to fight them and show the incredible power that he's garnered through that. That would have been amazing. That would have been way better writing than having them all just fight each other at once. Yeah, but we gotta show the strongest, and Jiren's the strongest among all the universes because Jiren's the stronger than the god of destruction. Then he could have been in the last universe. You could have built up to fighting Jiren. Yeah, but Goku's gotta go fast. Boom, boom. Okay. Does the new form beat Jiren? No. The new form doesn't beat Jiren. Not at all. The new form does not beat Jiren. Not even a little bit. As a matter of fact, the new form gets stopped because Goku's body can't handle the new form. Because of the new form. Okay. How do they beat Jiren? Frieza and Goku grab Jiren and push him off, and then Android 17 wins. Holy crap, that is horrifyingly bad writing. That is the worst thing I've ever seen. That is actually garbage. What do they win in the tournament? Super Dragon Balls. Alright? What do they do? You know how the Dragon Balls have restrictions? Not really. Yeah, well these ones don't. Alright. cool. How are they any different than the regular Dragon Balls? They're bigger. Perfect. I'm happy that that's something. That's amazing. Yep. That's Dragon Ball Super to a fault. I'm not even gonna. It's hype moments. And by God, do I love the hype moments. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I love Ultra Instinct. I love the design of it. I like how cool it is. I like the flashiness of it. I like the battles. I like the other universe Saiyans. I like Frost. I do. I like Jiren. I think Hit is really cool. I think all the Gods of Destructions have very funny designs, and I like them. I love Beerus. I love the Angels. I like Zeno because he's childish and quirky and cool, and he shows innocence despite the fact that he is a antagonistic, super powerful threat. I love the Grand Priest. I think they're all really cool. I think they may be the coolest things to ever exist. I think they're outstanding. I really do. Big issue is that they don't matter. I'm watching fan fiction at this point. And I've seen a lot of fan fiction. I've seen Dragon Ball Multiverse. I've seen Dragon Ball Kakumen. I've seen it. I really have. I've watched all of it. I've watched every single piece of it. I watched Dragon Ball AF. I read it. Read every piece of that. But Dragon Ball Super feels like enhanced, wild, wacky fan fiction that doesn't feel narratively cohesive to the main crux of the story. It feels as though I'm watching something created by somebody who has a vague sense of what Dragon Ball Z is and decided to continue it based off of that. Even so much to the point that everybody keeps talking about how amazing it is. It's so cool. He's able to destroy this and blow up that. Nobody is talking about the narrative. No one. No one's discussing the narrative. No one ever discusses the narrative of these shows. Ever. They just talk about how much stronger Goku is. Oh, he's X amount stronger. He's able to be octillionly stronger. He's nonillion stronger. He's exponentially growing. He can blow up, he can blow up, he can do that. No one's talking about what is the narrative importance of him doing that. None of it matters. I thought we'd get some more narrative significance in Dragon Ball Daima, but we got a little bit of world building that retconned and destroyed my understanding of how the world worked in Dragon Ball Super because it doesn't make any sense. And now there are effectively 3 different canons. There's the original that Akira Toriyama made. There is the Super canon, which I think is connected to the Daima canon. And then there's the manga canon. But if I really think about it, there's 4 or 5 different canons of Dragon Ball. And it all feels stupid. If you don't know what the 5 I'm talking about let's go through them all real fast. There's the original ending of Dragon Ball Z, which is Oob, which people think still is the connecting factor of Super. Think it's the end of Super. Let's just consider that its own thing. There's Super, which I'm pretty sure is just the anime Super, which is completely different from the manga Super, which have 2 insanely different stories. Then there's Daima. Yes, Daima. Daima feels as if its own separate thing. And you're probably wondering what the 5th one is. GT. That's right. I'm considering GT as a part of some retroactive continuation because technically it happens after Dragon Ball Z. So I don't know if they're going to try to put GT as a canon part of anything. So I'm going to include it here for the sake of brevity. I remember watching through the Zamasu arc and having this deep sense of dread when I was watching it. I remember watching it with my brother and him saying, hey, what if they Mafuba Zamasu? Now, I want to point this out. It had been so long since I saw Dragon Ball, I didn't know what in God's name he was talking about. And he said, Mafuba, evil containment wave, put him in the thing. I said, oh, the Master Roshi technique. I said, no, that'd be stupid. I gotta give it up to my brother for predicting the Mafuba to be used in the Tournament of Power. He predicted that. He said, they just gonna Mafuba everybody. I said, you can't bring items. He said, they don't care about that. Dragon Ball isn't a show that cares about rules. And I said, we'll see. And he was 100% correct because I think he understood that Dragon Ball didn't care about its story more than me. I was still under the guise that Dragon Ball at least cared a little bit narratively about what it was doing, but it just kind of just did whatever it felt like. I'm just a passenger on this journey, forced to witness a beautiful creation get bastardized and actually made a caricature of itself. Super feels more like a parody of itself than Dragon Ball Abridged does, if I could be so bold to say that. But I remember I was watching the Zamasu arc with my brother, and I was so confused why everybody was hyping this arc so much up. I didn't grasp it. This is from what I understand from the anime. We'll do the anime and the manga. Zamasu is upset that Goku is super strong, so he ends up taking a version of Goku's body in a separate future, the original timeline, Trunks' timeline, because he's working on the original timeline, from what I grasp. And in this timeline, Zamasu uses Goku's body to kill everybody. Cool, I got that. That's what I understand there. So, then a separate Zamasu, oh my god, is mixed in there for some reason and is immortal. That Zamasu's immortal. And because Zamasu is a Kai, he can heal Goku, thus giving him infinite Zenkai boost. Is what I grasped there. The first time they go to the future, they lose. Second time they lose, and the third time, they don't even beat Zamasu. He turns into this big giant cloud. But we did get Vegeta Blue, who did effectively nothing. Vegeta Blue did 0 things for the story besides retcon the Patara earrings. That's it. It was maybe 5 minutes of battle. 5 minutes of pretty okay animation. Animation was pretty cool, but it was just a callback hype moment. A lot of you guys probably haven't seen the 7 Deadly Sins 2 or the new one. This is exactly what 7 Deadly Sins is doing. As a matter of fact, this is exactly what Boruto is doing. It's just callbacks to the past. It's just callbacks. Cameos. They're nothing but cameos. Stan Lee cameos all around Dragon Ball Z. So when I got to the end of the arc, I was a little bit confused where everybody was saying this was so masterfully written. No. The idea was cool. Evil Goku is a great idea. As a matter of fact, I would have been way happier if it was Goten. Evil Goku, sick. Sick idea. Goated idea. I think that is the best idea you could probably have. Evil Goku, sick. That's actually Kakarot instead of Goku. I'd love that. But I have seen fan fiction. I have seen Salad Sand, Smug Stick. I've seen them write better Evil Gokus. I've seen somebody narratively write in Majin Goku and it makes sense. This is garbage. That whatever the Zamasu arc, complete shit. That was nothing was narratively cohesive. Was there even a new form introduced there besides Trunks somehow getting a power boost to become stronger than a god? Wasn't it even said that the regular ki is different than God ki? How did Trunks even... I'm not even sure what happened there. I don't even know. I have no clue what happened there. Can you just choose what hair color you want? Because for some reason, Super Saiyan Rose doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Is it because his ki is evil? Was this another hair coloration to sell more action figures? Is that what happened? Is that really what's going on? Are we really reduced to that? Don't get me started on Jiren. Holy crap. I love the whole Tournament of Power arc. I think it's cool. But it could have been done after we explored the universes. It could have been done way after. You could have expanded. You could have made Dragon Ball Z so much longer. You could have done so much more. They didn't even beat Jiren, technically. They barely beat Jiren. They pushed him out the ring. He still had more in the tank. He had significantly more in the tank. They jumped him. They jumped him like they jumped Vegeta in the beginning of the Saiyan Saga. That wasn't even a fight. That was just unfair and unwarranted. I don't even know what I was witnessing when they jumped Jiren. That was stupid. That was dumb. I'm just angry. I'm angry now. Now I'm pissed. Now I'm pissed because I remember Dragon Ball Super and I'm remembering how much I hate Dragon Ball Super. And people often say the Moro arc was super cool. The Moro arc was, it did what every other villain in Dragon Ball Z did after Cell. Cell absorbed people and became stronger. And Majin Buu absorbed people and became stronger. You know what Moro did? He absorbed people. He became stronger. That's what happened. He used other people's energy to get stronger. That was stupid. That was not. I'm not hyping that arc up. Because you know what happened? Goku said, "Have you trained?" Goku, we are so past this. Goku can't claim this ignorance anymore because he killed Kid Buu. He wanted Kid Buu to come back as Oob. That was fine. That was dandy. But he can't claim that anymore. This is ridiculous. This is actually stupid. Goku has not learned his lesson. They are taking one character element of Goku and making a caricature of what Goku actually is. It's stupid. You are a mentor and a master now. This is dumb. This is actively stupid. It's actively idiocy. I can defend Goku giving Cell a Senzu Bean because Gohan had to defeat all of Goku's past enemies at once, at full strength. It wouldn't have mattered if he fought a weaker version of Cell that was already damaged. It wouldn't have mattered. What really mattered, is Gohan actually overcoming that obstacle and defeating Cell. I see no reason why Moro should in any capacity be a character. I don't see that. I don't. I barely see the reason why Frieza is around. I barely see that. Doesn't make any sense to me. It's dumb. It's actively stupid. Dumbest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. Worst thing I've ever seen in my entire life. It's dumb. And the Granola arc. Frieza comes out of nowhere after finding a hyperbolic time chamber and is so much stronger than Vegeta or Goku that Frieza doesn't even acknowledge trying to kill them. Frieza just says, I could kill you, but bada bing, bada boom. Granola, for all sorts of the word, was the strongest and then didn't become the strongest because of some weird pseudo Dragon Balls. This is fan fiction, right? Is this not fan fiction? I heard that they were remaking or making more of Dragon Ball Super, and I just grimaced and groaned. I don't consider Dragon Ball to be a series that has any narrative implications or forces besides stupid hype moments and new forms. That's all it is. That is all I see with Dragon Ball. There's nothing else in it besides, well, this new form is actually really cool. This new form, really cool. This new form, really cool. Oh, this is Ultra Ego Vegeta. Does Ultra Ego have any victories? No. Does Ultra Instinct have any dubs? Moro, kind of Moro, slightly Moro, it slightly beat Moro. It was like some big kaiju of some sort, but it didn't really count. I don't even consider that a real victory. I'm not even gonna lie to anybody. That's not even a real victory to me. There's no real victories anymore in Dragon Ball Z. There's no narrative weight to any of the victories. It's just battles for the sake of battles because Goku's character arc is complete, so they're trying to just interject him into nonsense and garbage. They're just trying to put him in things. They're just trying to add him into stuff to use the IP in some constructive way. That's it. That's all they're trying to do. I don't know what they're trying to do anymore because it's just garbage. It's actual trash. That's what it feels like. And if you want to say Dragon Ball Super is for meatheads and idiots, it is. 100%. I don't consider Super to be good at all. It has good points. There are some good aspects of Super, but it doesn't make up for the garbage it is. And this is why I brought up the abusive X part. If you can see the good in something, that does not mean that you cannot see the bad in it as well, right? Can we agree to that? Can we agree to that one little focal point? If I were to say that, yes, he may beat you, but he pays the bills, you don't just say he pays the bills. He still beats you. That's still a thing, right? Is that not true? Dragon Ball Z still beats you, or Dragon Ball still beats you. Yes, you get more Goku. You're happy to have Goku around. Yes, we get more Vegeta. Vegeta beat Goku. Is that a new Broly? Oh my god, that's amazing. Broly's here. Oh my god. Gohan Beast? Beast Gohan? This is a totally new transformation. He's using the human path of transformation. Orange Colo? Whoa my god. Doesn't make any sense. Why is Gohan white hair? Why that doesn't make any sense. That's stupid. That's dumb. Doesn't make any sense. That's dumb. What, he looks just like Super Saiyan 2 Gohan. They just wanted to recreate that hype moment is what they wanted to do. That's it. They didn't even have the balls to bring back Cell. They didn't even have the balls to bring back Cell in full capacity. You know how cool it would be if we had perfect form Cell versus that Beast Gohan? The shit talking between those two would be legendary. That would have been way better. Instead, we got a kaiju versus a small dude. Did nothing. That's it. No, don't even know. We're just repeating the same story all over again. We're literally repeating the same story all over again. We brought back Frieza. We brought back Cell. I can't wait till the next arc pops up and it's just Majin Buu. But I guess you could consider it was Majin Buu because of Moro. We're going to get Frieza again. It's going to pop up. And guess what? We are getting Frieza again because Black Frieza. Eventually, we're going to get Black Frieza again. The Red Rim is going to come back. We're going to get Cell again. We're going to keep getting fed the same garbage over and over again. Because I don't know if you noticed this. I have no idea if you noticed this. But Dragon Ball Super has been a complete rehash, the exact same story. You could consider Beerus to be Raditz. You could consider Frieza to, guess what, be Frieza. Whoa, Frieza. Who would have thought? We have Cell, because Gohan fought Cell again. That's what happened. It's the same exact story being fed to us again. And we're just saying, this reminds me of what happened back in the day. No shit. It's the same exact thing that happened back in the day. You're watching the same story. You stupid? Are you dumb? They don't respect your intelligence. It's so stupid. And I do agree that Dragon Ball Z is deeper than you think. It is deeper than you think. But only Dragon Ball Z up to the Cell arc. After that, everything else becomes a muggled mess of callbacks and garbage. Because Akira Toriyama, God rest his soul, accidentally struck gold. He did. And the reason he struck gold was because the basis of what he did, the basis of Dragon Ball, was Journey to the West. And Journey to the West is still to this day one of the greatest pieces of narrative fiction ever. More people have copied Sun Wukong than Dragon Ball Z, God of High School, Dynasty Warriors, there's so many allusions to the Monkey King in everything. Donkey Kong. Everything is an allusion to the Journey to the West because it is such a deep narrative story of Buddhism and Buddhahood. And many anime draw from that. Many pieces of Asian fiction and Asian literature draw from the Journey to the West. We just recognize it as Goku because we saw a great ape and completely destroyed the idea of what a monkey was. Great ape, I want to point this out. This is a side tangent. I go on a lot of side tangents. There's no structure to this video anymore. Just enjoy what I'm saying. There is a big issue when it comes to Great Ape because an ape does not have a tail. A monkey does. And I think people saw a Great Ape and saw a tail and said, well, monkeys are apes. No, apes don't have tails. A gorilla's an ape. A monkey is a monkey. Two separate things. Great Ape completely destroyed that for most people. And that's why a lot of people are having an issue because Frieza calls them monkeys, which is just incorrect. They're not monkeys. They are apes. Wildly different. Actually, because they have tails, I think they are monkeys. It would make more sense to call them monkeys, but it's called a great ape. That should be called a great monkey. Just, it's stupid. It's dumb. It doesn't make any sense. It's scientifically incorrect. But let's talk about something even more significant than Dragon Ball Super. The future of Dragon Ball. Let's talk about that. I'm actually surprised you made it this far in the video. I'm impressed. I'm so proud of you for making it this far. This is a long video, and by all means, I'm going to have complete hell editing this. If I even decide to truly edit everything. What I would like to talk about right now is the future of Dragon Ball Z. I'm going to sit down. Please give me a moment. I always wondered what I craved about my childhood that I want now. I pay bills, I go to work 30 hours a week, and I edit and make videos for 80 hours a week here. I've always been curious about what exactly from my childhood would make this better. I believe every Saturday when I woke up and I watched Cubics or the Cramp Twins or all those shows made me feel as though there was less stress in the world. Despite the fact that my parents were stressing and that I didn't know the struggles of what they had to do to make things feel like I didn't even notice the stress of what they were dealing with until everything broke apart and they got a divorce. I didn't really know the stress of everything, but one consistent thing was the way things made me feel. Not the actual events that were happening, just how the events made me feel. For instance, I remember playing bike tag, where we would run around on our bikes. We had bikes, and we would play tag on our bikes, and you'd have to be fast. We only had a certain area where we could go through, and I didn't know the neighborhood that well, so I was so scared to go further out. And I remember me feeling scared and alone being in a part of the town that I didn't know. And I got my bike stolen. And I remember that made me feel horrible. I wouldn't want to relive that part of my childhood. But I also remember grilled cheese sandwiches. And I remember tomato soup and applesauce. I remember those three things being amazing. And when we didn't have applesauce, we had apple juice. And those things made the childhood feel nice. I remember the first time I played Dragon Ball Z Budokai. I played Budokai 2 first. And then I played Budokai 1. And I was really good at Budokai 1. I was the only person in the house that could beat Cell. Everybody was stressing out about beating Cell at the end of the game. Then I beat Budokai 2. And Budokai 3 was so amazing. And I remember Budokai Tenkaichi coming out, and I was the worst in the house in that game because of the difference of mechanics. I was much better at side-to-side fighters. And I remember feeling as if my family was connected because my dad was playing because he watched Dragon Ball. My mom was trying to get my dad to pay attention to her, so she learned everything about Dragon Ball Z. So that's really what happened there. And then my brother and my sisters, all my family members, all my siblings, we all played together. We were all on the big screen. We all had a PS2. We all played together. And we would take turns just playing against each other, playing broken characters, not caring about anything. It was really fun. It was so fun that I forgot everything about school, and I forgot about the fact that I was selling illicit substances on the street. I forgot that I was a Crip. I forgot all this stuff. I forgot all the bad things that were happening. It felt fun. I miss that. And as an adult, I don't have moments of not stress. I have moments, true moments of vacations. I have to plan them out myself, though. They don't feel effortless. They feel like I have to extend a large amount of effort. And the part about childhood that I miss the most, the nostalgia that I'm missing, is the effortlessness of it, where there was no effort put on my half. Somebody had decided things for me. It was routine strictly decided outside of myself. And because I had that routine, because I was able to have this routine without me existing within it, it made things significantly easier. And that made things easier for me and better for me. But now I'm discovering that because I have to make my own routine, I have to make things easy for someone else. Or at least that's how I feel. But I want things to be easy for me. And I'm discovering ever so deeply and slightly that the way things become easier for me is to reminisce and to have a childhood about it. And that's why I love Dragon Ball so much. And that's why I want more Dragon Ball. The future of Dragon Ball Z, what I want from it, is the narrative cohesion. When I was younger, obviously, I didn't care about the narrative cohesion and any of this garbage. I didn't care about if Goku had a spiritual journey. I didn't care if all this stuff mattered. I didn't care about generational trauma breaking. I didn't care that Gohan was this person. I didn't care about Vegeta being a Hotep. I didn't care about any of that. I saw people fighting and thought it was cool. And Dragon Ball Super is exactly that. It keys in on that. But I'm an adult now, and I can understand why this is stupid. But I'm an idiot. And even if I can understand why it's stupid, I'm still going to watch it. And that's the worst relationship to have. Ever. I know that if I see a new form, it doesn't really mean anything. The evolution of Vegeta Blue, the new form of Gohan I may get, the Gohan Beast Mode, Orange Piccolo, whatever it is. I know that it's realistically nothing narratively other than selling a new action figure or getting me hype that Gohan could potentially be strong enough to blink the universe away. And he's going to fight a new threat that's going to be even bigger than that, and even bigger than that, even bigger than that. It means absolutely nothing to me to have these things expressed to me. It means garbage in the totality of what I want from Dragon Ball Z. Because this isn't what I want from Dragon Ball Z. This is what Dragon Ball Z is becoming. It's becoming trash. It's becoming slop. It's becoming what everybody thinks Dragon Ball Z is. Narrative garbage. It's where it has no deeper meaning and intrinsic value behind it. But the journey of Vegeta was amazing. Watching him go from this maniacal, actual evil, cynical psychopath to somebody that cares about their family and their son and loves their wife was eventful. Watching the Demon King Piccolo become an uncle of a child that is the savior of the universe is beautiful. Watching Goku go from not knowing anything about the world to actively trying to better himself to becoming a teacher to instruct the next generation was monumental. And witnessing him get dumbed down and lose the character traits that he has is heartbreaking. Watching Vegeta is beautiful. I enjoy watching Vegeta more than Goku now because when I see Goku on screen, I'm watching a caricature, an exaggeration of what he is. Vegeta is becoming a pride egomaniac where his Saiyan pride doesn't mean anything. And Piccolo is just there to aura farm. He's just there to be cool. He's there to explain things that Goku and Vegeta should already know. He's there to be a teacher to people that should already have the same information as him. It's ridiculous. Piccolo's viewed as this amazingly intelligent person, but it's not really a thing. So the future of Dragon Ball scares me because I know that it's a big cash grab. They're fighting for the IP, who deserves the rights to it. Totaro is just blessed to actually be writing it, but I don't think even he understands anything. And this is the worst part, and this is going to suck to hear. I don't think Akira Toriyama understands Dragon Ball Z. And that sucks to hear. And it's stupid to say that as somebody that's just some shiftless American from Detroit, Michigan. But I think he did everything by pure accident. I think everything that was great about Dragon Ball Z was not on purpose. And that was Akira Toriyama's greatest strength, was the fact that he did it all on a whim. He was hungry for it. There's something to be said about when you watch a smaller YouTube channel that has really good content. I've watched a lot of small YouTube channels that have amazing content, that make their own thumbnails, that do all these things, and some people are just muggling about and they're making content that they're passionate about. And then accidentally one of their videos does 100,000 views. And now they think, okay, I have to keep making this video in different ways. And so they have other videos that are expansive and amazing and do all these amazing through lines of how they operate. But then they forget the core of what they are. One of my favorite YouTube content creators is Internet Pit Stop. Internet Pit Stop is actually a friend of mine. I consider Internet Pit Stop to be a very good friend of mine. I love Internet Pit Stop's content. It feels like your shitty internet roommate is actively having a fun time. It's super cool. And the way that he looks at narratives, the way that he looks at things is as if your friend is explaining it to you. And he didn't lose his core at all. He talks about what he wants to talk about. When he gets super passionate about something, whether it be Air Gear or Legend of Zelda or the music in Adult Swim, he loves all of it. It's outstanding to witness somebody do that. And obviously he still needs to get paid. I'm pretty sure that's his real job. That's his entire thing. He's reached a credible plateau on YouTube. But when you see somebody that cares about the integrity of what they are, as opposed to the money behind it, it dawns on you that there are people that care about the art, the form of it, the formulaic masterpiece of what it is to create. I don't think anybody that is making Dragon Ball Z gives a damn about that. They want Goku to be so strong that it makes no sense. They want Goku to have red hair, blue hair, green hair, orange hair. They want Goku to have lavender hair. They want Goku to have rainbow hair. They want Goku to do whatever it takes in every capacity to continue to grow in strength without caring about anything else. That's what they want. They want Goku to just keep going. They want Goku to yell and make money for them. Do some more dances. Do some more dances. Do some more dances. But that's not Dragon Ball Z. That's not Dragon Ball. Dragon Ball is this journey of self-discovery. It's not big moments in hype aura. It's not fighting the biggest threat in the universe. It's being introspective and building upon what you are. It's fighting what you were lacking. It's making an issue and then dealing with it. Beerus is not a villain. He is a force of nature. And thus you can't really eliminate him from the story. The Grand Priests, Zeno and the Angels, gods of destruction as well, from all the other universes, they're not really evil. They're a necessary force in the universe. And I think that's what's so difficult to write in, a force of nature that's given personification. Goku is not a force of nature. He is somebody going against the elements. And that's truly very Journey of the West-like. But what does it mean? Journey of the West is a very long story, by the way. It's incredibly long. It takes a while to read, and I myself have only read summaries of the entirety of everything. And I have seen the end of it, but the middle points are a little bit muggled and scattered for me. And even then, with all that, it's still narratively cohesive. Because it cared about its work. It cared. We wanted everybody to understand the point of the story. I don't think Dragon Ball Z wants people to understand the point of the story anymore. I think Dragon Ball Z wants us to be baked and caked in nostalgia. I think it wants everybody to think it's doing something impressive or amazing, but in reality, it's just shitting the bed. That's all it's doing. And I know a lot of people would hate the Abridged, but the Abridged has done more legwork for Dragon Ball than any other series I've ever seen. More than Kai, more than Super, more than Battle of Gods even. Because Abridged kept everybody's mind on Dragon Ball. It kept it. And Goku really is your dad. Because whenever somebody brings up another anime, Hunter x Hunter, Baki, Fist of the North Star, Naruto, One Piece, whatever, they always say, but can he beat Goku? Goku's not even the strongest in his own show, dude. It doesn't matter if he can beat Goku. Is the character more narratively significant than Goku? By a wide margin. There are stories wildly better written than Dragon Ball Z. But people will often claim that Dragon Ball is the blueprint. And it is. And off that blueprint, you can make amazing things. I love chocolate. Chocolate's amazing. I like peanut butter. Peanut butter is amazing. We put those two things together, we get Reese's, we get Nutter Butters. I like pizza. I like bacon. We can put those two things together, we got bacon pizza. That's pretty cool, right? Just because something is the start of something doesn't mean it's the most significant margin of what it is. There are innovations in the world. There are things that supersede what things are. There are things that will outclass things. And I hear people often say, well, Dragon Ball Z actually did go on for 20 years because it had movies and all these OVAs and things of that variety, but it wasn't continuous. One Piece is truly continuous. Hajime no Ippo is truly continuous. It just keeps going. It just keeps going and going and going. They just keep going. And they don't stop. There are month breaks, maybe. Maybe there's 3-week breaks. But Oda and Hajime no Ippo and all these manga and shows that just keep going, they just go. That's what happens. Dragon Ball Z is a dead horse that we keep beating because we want more rides out of it. We want to keep going around the racetrack. Is what we want. Dragon Ball Z is deeper because it's deep to us. It's deep to us narratively because we sadly care about it. Dragon Ball Z is a friend. It is a mentor. It is a buddy. It is a pal that we've witnessed get destroyed and beaten and annihilated. But we don't want it to stop. We know that it's being tortured. We know that it's being used for money. We know we're being manipulated. We know that. We are here witnessing us be manipulated with Dragon Ball Legends and Dragon Ball Heroes and all this garbage. Dragon Ball Super and Dragon Ball Heroes are the same series to me because it's a bunch of stuff that shouldn't make sense. That's just new transformations and garbage. One of my friends said that I should watch Super Dragon Ball Heroes. So I did. And I said, this is stupid. It's just a bunch of new forms. Why are there 2 Gokus? The story doesn't make a lot of sense. Why is there Golden Cooler? This is super dumb. And they said, yeah, but it's cool. Look at Super Saiyan 3 Broly. Look at Super Saiyan 4 Gohan. Look at Xeno Goku. And I said, yeah, that's interesting for sure. But it doesn't make any sense. And he said, yeah, but it's cool though, right? And the rule of cool kind of destroys Dragon Ball. It really just lets it float on by. I am sad that Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z and all of what it is disrespected because of what it is now. A meathead, disgusting anime. When it was something beautiful before, where Goku actually mattered and he actually cared about what he did. Now he doesn't. And I am watching a nothing burger version, a false carbon copy, a facsimile, a caricature of a series that was once outstanding. I am sad that I am relying on this series as well, because I'm going to watch it all. And I think I've made a breakthrough, because I have not seen Dragon Ball Daima. I haven't seen a single episode of it. Not one. And you know what's important about me not watching Dragon Ball Daima? I often said that if they released a series about the past of a series, I'd watch it. But Dragon Ball Daima kind of proved to me that I wouldn't watch it, because even my idiot brain likes escalation. And that's the game of the business. Let me know your journey of Dragon Ball Z down below. I would like to do a few things at the end here. Thank you for checking out the video. I really do appreciate it. It takes me a while to make these, and I don't script them at all. It's really just me yapping and saying my piece and vocal points. I release these videos and make these long videos because I just felt like making them. I don't care if anybody watches them for the most part. I will try to get this video to be watched by people. I feel like a bunch of Dragon Ball fans are going to try to watch this or something of that variety. So put this on your background or something of that variety, or do that. Make you feel better. But the song you're going to hear, by the way, at the end of this is called Like That by Taraj. Really good song. Really good artist in Detroit, Michigan. Good friend of mine. I have a Patreon, and I stream. A Patreon that offers nothing, essentially. I was going to make podcast episodes, but the podcast relies on another person who is incredibly busy, so that's hard to do. It's very hard to do. And I have streams. I stream 7 p.m. to 10 p.m., and I'm thinking about doing live therapy on there, or more so something similar to that effect, where I do either live therapy or play Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. I believe I'll play Dragon Ball Sparking Zero tonight, I think I'm going to play Dragon Ball Sparking Zero tonight. I don't know yet. Depends. A lot of people want me to play that. People keep telling me to do that. I was a Dragon Ball channel for a little bit, but I was also releasing the same content. People just assume I'm a Dragon Ball channel nowadays. I don't know why. I make a lot of Dragon Ball content. So, yeah. Thank you guys so much for checking out my content. Please comment about your love of Dragon Ball and why you enjoy the series. I would enjoy that. I hope you have a lovely day or night. If you love something, if you learned something from this, please let me know. So yeah, bye. Haha.
I'm your nigga night, be my lower slow. Ooh, happy to try what you need. Your world, I love to live in it. Ooh, I love the ride when you're free.